Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Williams. I am a disabled combat vet. I am doing this post because I am more than a little bit upset with the mental health help with the VA. And I wanted to be able to share this with you because I am extremely upset. I am going to be doing a lot of videos that have to do with a friend of mine who has a spinal cord injury, showing us having fun and showing us what people that have problems can do, whether it be mental problems or physical problems. But this video is not about that. This video, I am not happy. And this video, I am not laughing. This video, I am not enjoying myself. And wish I did not have to make this video. About a little over a month ago, I went to the VA, or I had an appointment with the VA for a mental health appointment, and it got canceled the same day. Now that happens. They called me ahead of time, asked me if I wanted to reschedule. I had no problem. I was completely in a good mood, having a good day. Then when I tried to reschedule the appointment, they told me that it was going to take 4 months to be able to schedule the appointment. I went absolutely ballistic. I was upset, and I wasn't only upset about myself, but mental health is something that is a big problem with the military, especially with combat vets. Actually, it's a problem across America. And the thing is there's a stigma to mental health where people don't want to be able to talk about it. They're embarrassed by it, and they won't fight for themselves. They really don't want it. I know I don't really want to be able to have a mental health. I don't want to be talking to a psychologist or a psychiatrist or nurses. I don't want to be taking medications. I don't want to be discussing what my problems are. I don't want to admit that they exist. So it made me worried that how many veterans that are out there would have been okay with the 4 months because they really didn't want to. And there are special problems with veterans, especially combat veterans, that are not so evident in society as a whole. I'm not saying they don't exist. They're just more common with combat veterans. And part of the thing is they have family problems where they have a problem relating to other people at times. They have gambling problems, they have addiction problems, they have infidelity problems, and a lot of it has to do with the lifestyle, and a lot of it has to do with things that we've dealt with. This doesn't include the anger issues or 22 veterans a day committing suicide, which is 22 too many. And so it bothered me immensely when they told me that it was going to be 4 months before they come in and see me. Yeah, I called, I used the VA message system to be able to try to state that I needed an appointment. Then I decided it was obvious to me that the VA mental health really didn't care and really didn't want to help. So I started trying to ask for community care. I'm still to hear back on that, whether I guess I should be surprised. They suggested 4 months to be able to see a doctor or to be able to get medical help. Why should I be surprised that it's taken this long to be able to get community care for mental health? In my opinion, that is something that should be of utmost importance. And they should try to be able to say, hey, you're right. We are overstaffed. We don't have enough people. Let's get you the care you need. Let's have somebody in private practice who's able to take care of that. Now, my original thought was there are conditions that veterans live with and know that make the VA more qualified, and they should have more experience dealing with veterans' issues. So I would have preferred to be able to work with the VA, but it's apparent to me right now that they do not care about the veterans and are not willing to do anything to be able to help in the mental health situation. And that is part of the reason why we do have such a big mental health problem with veterans in this country. And it's sort of scary because it's something, in my opinion, that should be of a top concern. Now, I did use the messaging system, and I know that I said some things I shouldn't say. I used words I shouldn't use. And they gave me a warning on that, saying, no, do not use those type of words. Do not say anything harsh. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, oh, okay. You can forget about us as long as we're nice and we're polite and we say what we need to say. Make sure that we don't do anything that's going to make your lives more difficult. You can treat us any way you want to. You can forget about us. But hey, make sure that we're polite. Make sure that we're nice. There's something that I want you to keep in mind. At 22 suicides a day, that would have been around 2,500 veterans committing suicide in the amount of time that they decided I could wait to be able to see mental health. So later on, I figure I'm going to go see my doctor. I have a regular appointment and won't be home. The appointment's canceled. They didn't contact me. They didn't tell me. No notification whatsoever. It would have been easy for me to just to show up to the appointment and realize I didn't have it. So I called and I rescheduled the appointment. I am not real happy about this at this point in time. And quite frankly, I am still thinking about the mental health issue and dealing with that and trying to be able to get an appointment. I go in there and I'm upset. And the nurse has been dealing with me for several years, tells me that she's never seen me this way and asks me if I'm okay. She actually brings another nurse in there with me to be able to talk with her. I did say nothing threatening, but it was obvious that I was upset. I let her know that my blood pressure was going to be higher, and it was. So I go in and I talk to the doctor, and I'm upset with the doctor because of what would happen. One of the reasons I was upset is the last time that I went to see the general practitioner. By the way, I changed doctors because of this. She was very cursed with me. She was very impatient. But I had to wait close to 2 hours to see her. And when I pointed out that I was upset about that, she told me, well, you can see another doctor if you want to. Whoa, that's not a very good response. And she asked me if I wanted her to end the meeting right then. I said, no, I really need to see a doctor. But that seemed to be her attitude. Now, in contrast, not every person at the VA is that way. When I had to wait an hour and a half, I did have somebody from the desk come up and tell me to talk to the advocate and told me that that was unacceptable and I shouldn't have to wait that long. And she told me to please not use her name, but that I really needed to be able to talk to the advocate and get that straightened out. And that led me to believe that it was probably a problem that existed a long time beforehand. But I go in and talk to the doctor, and I am upset, and I explain that to her, and she goes, well, I wasn't a part of that. But she did a great job of calming me down. She obviously cared, and there are people in the VA who do care. It's unfortunate that everybody doesn't, but it is nice to know that she did go out of her way, that even though I was upset, to go above and beyond to make sure that I was taken care of. She listened to a couple of embarrassing problems that I had, came up with solutions, and she actually talked me into going back to the VA mental hospital to be able to talk to them. I'd said no 4 or 5 times, and she really encouraged me to do it, told me she would walk me over there if I wanted her to, and I said, no, I can find my way there. It's not a problem. So I go over to the mental health. Again, I go there before the other place she told me to go. And lo and behold, I told them that I need to see mental health. I need to see a psychiatrist. And she looks at me and says, well, to be honest with you, we don't have anything available till January. And I calmly said, I need to see somebody right now. I was extremely upset. That's twice that they happened to me, 2 times in a row. And I asked her if I have time to go down and talk to the patient advocate first, and she told me she didn't want me to miss a meeting. She did set me up with an appointment that day with the triage doctor. I go in and I talk to the nurse. I give the nurse an extremely hard time because I am upset beyond belief. There is no console. Again, I am not so upset that I am having this problem, but it makes me think, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this to combat veterans that have PTSD and other issues? Now, to put a backstep on this, I have PTSD. I recently found out that I was diagnosed with ADHD. I have depression. I have anxiety. I was recently forced into retirement. I would have liked to work a couple more years. I'll be fine with that. But one of the things I needed to do was be able to have my head on straight so I could find a job. I've been trying to do this for the last 5 months, and I am getting nowhere trying to get regular appointments. But that's not what I was really concerned about. What I was more concerned about was how other veterans are treated. Why, when you're talking about mental health, that is something that's shunned by society. People in society think there's a problem with mental health. There's not. People are able to find solutions. There's no cures, but we can find ways to be able to find solutions to be able to get the best outcome possible. And that's not waiting 5 months to be able to talk to somebody. And I gave her an extremely hard time and about it. And she goes, that's okay. We'll have somebody see you today. And I said, no, we are far from okay. We're nowhere near okay. Then I go in and I finally see the triage doctor. And I'm talking to him. I'm explaining what happened to him. And basically not much response. I let him know that I am extremely upset and I plan on disseminating this to as many people as possible because it bothered me. He says, well, that's your right. And then he mentions to me, I see you're shivering. I look down. I'm not shivering. I realized right then and there what he was trying to do was he was trying to discount anything that I might say and potentially put me away for mental problems. So I told him goodbye. He said goodbye, and he walked me out the door, and I left. And that was the last I heard from him. I did ask him to be able to put me with community care, and he said he would put me in for community care. I asked him how long it would take. He said he didn't know. I says, I guess it'll be another 4 months or so. And he says, I really don't know. It is a process. That doesn't make sense to me. If you're having problems with mental health facilities that the VA is running, they should be, in my opinion, do everything possible to make certain that they are doing what they can to make sure you're getting the help they cannot provide because they are too busy and they are not willing or able to hire the people that they need to make sure that the veterans are taken care of. There are plenty of mental health administrators that do have experience in this country and in my state and in my city. So it's amazing to me that they're going through this process of taking so long to go ahead and get me a mental health facility. And I decided that I wanted to be able to share this story and spread it as far as I can. I want you to be able to share this with other people, share it with politicians, share it with news media, share it with whoever you can, because I know that I am very upset. And the veterans do not deserve this. A veteran is somebody who signed a contract willing to be able to give up everything everything, including their life, including hardships to their family for this great nation. And then if they get mental health problems, they get treated like this. That is downright scary and disturbing to me. And we need to do what we can to make sure that it does not continue. And that is the reason why I'm asking that you make certain that as many people as possible see this video, because one thing I want to point out again, 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Twice. They told me it would take 4 months. Once it was when they canceled the day off. The other time I was just setting a new appointment saying I really need to see them. I want you to keep in mind, with 22 veterans a day, that is close to 2,500 veterans committing suicide. Veterans have a problem with anger a lot of times. A lot of times they take that out on family members or they take that out on spouses. Veterans have a problem with addictions. Have a problem with infidelity. Veterans have a problem with trust. Veterans have a problem maintaining a job. Veterans have a hard time communicating. Veterans have a hard time doing a lot of things that people that are not veterans do not have. And it's because of sacrifices that they were willing to make that it is hard for them to do that. Now, one thing I will say is that the best thing for this is veterans helping veterans. When veterans do things to be able to help each other, that comes out way better than any other solutions. We like to keep things in the back of our head because we don't share that. If you know a veteran, you're going to know this is true. Now, they don't talk about their actions very often. If they're around other veterans, they might. And they might share it more of a joking manner. But me and my wife were together for 10 years before she knew I went to Honduras. And that's only because we were talking about taking a cruise there. And I mentioned I'd been there. We just don't talk about those things. It's uncomfortable for us. We don't want to put the stress on other people. We would rather think about things that are going to be able to make us better people and make us happy and make us not think about those things. I know a lot of times when you have problems, you need to share them. But when it comes to a lot of the things that veterans have seen, they don't want to share those. They're better off not sharing them. A lot of times you're better off putting it in a lockbox and throwing away the key and keeping it there so it doesn't come out. And you learn how to be able to deal with it when it does. And a lot of times civilian doctors will not understand that. They won't understand what veterans have gone through. But veterans helping veterans helps out a lot. And that is one thing that I concentrate on is whenever I get work done around my house or want to go see a professional of something, I almost always try to find a veteran-owned business because I want to be able to help that veteran out and thank him or thank them for their service. And I know that I'm going to get good quality work done through a veteran. And that's what we all need to do. And we need to be able to concentrate on thanking the veterans, being there for them, checking up on them, calling them on occasion, seeing how they're doing, because we already know that the VA is not doing everything that they can to be able to take care of us. So let's make sure that we take care of each other, and people that know veterans, make sure that you take care of them as well. Because just because you did not serve this great nation does not mean you're not patriotic, doesn't mean you don't love veterans, and doesn't mean you don't love this country. I can tell you right now, I love this country. I love veterans. I don't always agree with the country. I don't always agree with what the Department of Defense does, and I don't agree with what the VA does. But I will always support the veteran, and I will always support this great nation. It's a great experiment for being able to allow people freedoms and be able to have choice and freedom of speech. I am just hoping that this video does not have blowback on me or anybody that I know from making it. But when I talked to a friend about it, his comment was, sometimes you have to do what's right, despite the cost. And that is sort of the way that I feel here. Now, in the future, I do plan on doing more videos that's going to show you that veterans can do things and people with disabilities can do things and this, that, and the other. Because I tell you, It makes me feel better knowing that I'm helping other people. And I don't have the physical ability to do physical work, but I can think with my mind, and there are a lot of things I can do. And I want to be able to show others that is the same situation. You have the ability to do a lot of things. You have the ability to be able to make the most out of life, and you need to do everything possible to have the best life possible and help other people have the best life possible, and make sure to help other veterans. And one thing I am going to do in my videos now, I've made this decision after this, is I'm going to start doing some sort of instructional videos. I'm going to start talking about how to be able to get VA healthcare, what to do when the VA just cancels an appointment on you, or what to do when they tell you to wait 5 months for a mental health appointment, or what to do if you're denied, what you can do to be able to get help paying for items. If you're 60% disabled, there are ways to be able to get paid for 100% disabled if you're not able to work. They're not going to tell you these things. You need somebody like me to be able to go out and say, hey, we need to go ahead and do this, 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 and this. We need to have you get in touch with people over the DAV, or over the American Legion, or over the VA, or through another organization. Or this person has been through this. Talk to them. And that's what we need to do. We need to do what we can to be able to help veterans and help people who have disabilities, who may not be able to do everything themselves, or may not realize they can do some of the things they are able to do. But this is Chris Williams. Please like this, please subscribe, and please share this with everybody. I know that I'm going to send this video to my congressional representatives and my senators and to my governor. And I would appreciate if you guys would do the same thing, because I think this is very important, and I want to be able to have as many people hear my message as possible. Thank you very much.